Now, one can't talk about Kaizer Chiefs without mentioning the name of Kaizer Motaung, the man who followed a glittering playing career that places him amongst the all-time greats of the game. Not only locally but in the USA as well, by founding what has become the most successful club in South African football history. Good day and welcome to Football Navigator, as Football Navigator takes a look at Kaizer Chiefs history. Now please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new to this channel so that you don't ever miss out. Born on the 16th of October 1944 in Orlando East, Soweto, Motaung's remarkable career began in 1960 when his exceptional natural talent earned him a senior debut for Orlando Pirates at a tender age of 16 years. Motaung was nicknamed the Chincha Glover because of his ability to change direction and to appear in spaces where other players could not see. Now, Motaung's exploits began to attract attention from further afield, and in 1968 he departed for the USA to play for Atlanta Chiefs in the MSL. That was after he was recruited by former West Ham United player Phil Woosnam, who was by then coaching the American side. Now, few, if any, Atlanta supporters in the stadium would have heard of Motaung as he ran on as a substitute to make his debut in a friendly against English giants Manchester City. Now, his 2 goals and impressive all-round play, however, ensured his name was on everybody's lips by the time the final whistle had sounded. Now, by the end of the season, Motaung was voted the Rookie of the Year as he played a major role in steering his new team win the MSL. That is the American Top Flight Football Championship title. Now, fittingly, it was Motaung who netted the 3rd goal in Chiefs' 3-0 second leg victory over San Diego Toros in the final. That was following a 0-0 draw in the first leg. The following season, Big Boy, as the South American nicknamed him in America, scored 16 goals in 16 matches, ending the season as the league's top goal scorer and being anonymously voted in the MSL All-Star team. Meanwhile, back in Mzansi, things weren't going so well, as Motaung's former club Orlando Pirates were internal disagreements saw team manager Iwet Nene and 3 players Thomas Zero Johnson, Rata Mukhateng and Edward Msomi Koza were expelled. Now, at the conclusion of the MSL in 1969, Motaung returned home to try and resolve the impasse, but sadly, his best efforts proved unsuccessful. Now, as a result of these circumstances, it was decided an alternative was needed, and in late 1969, the Kaizer Chiefs 11 was formed. Now, the Kaizer Chiefs 11 arranged and played numerous friendly, fielding a fantastic team with players such as the acrobatic goalkeeper Vincent Tanti Julius, the tough as nail Jackie Masike, and the speedy Herman Pele, including also midfield genius Patrick Ace Ntweleng and 3 expelled Pirates players whose skills and flair soon began to draw ever-growing crowds of spectators to watch them perform. Now, the positive response from the supporters gave Motaung the cause to consider setting up his own club. Drawing on the lessons he learned from his experience in the United States, he resolved to establish a professionally run club where, above all, players would be paid what they were promised on time. Now that might sound normal these days, but back then most South African club bosses routinely failed to deliver on their promises. But not Kaizer. His word is his word, and on the 7th of January 1970, Kaizer Chiefs FC was born. Now it was far from a plain sailing during the new club's formative years. Now many within the football fraternities viewed them as an upstart and did not want them to succeed. Now fortunately, though, most of the players bought into Motaung's vision of setting up a club that would be run professionally and trusted his integrity. Now, with the support of various business partners to supplement Motaung's personal capital investment, Kaizer Chiefs soon became a force to be reckoned with, and they would go on to win their first league title in 1974. Motaung contributed 13 league goals to the Trump despite missing most of the season while playing for Denver Dynamos in the MSL. Now, in addition to the 1974 league title, Kaizer Chiefs won numerous trophies in the early 1970s, including the then BP Top 8 in 1973, 1974, and 1976. They also went on to win the Champion of Champions in 1972, 1974, and 1976. They also went on to win the Life Challenge Cup in 1971 and 1972. That was ensuring that Kaizer Chiefs became very successful in a very short space of time. Now, fans flocked from all corners of the country to be enthralled by the excitement that was provided by the team, brimming with fantastic players by then. Now, Joseph Banks Sitlodi, as an accomplished goalkeeper who also took penalties, and defender Masike and Raida Mufuke, midfielders Patrice Tenten Mzimande, Ace Ntweleng, Vusi the Computer, Lamola, and strikers Pele Baskel and Michael Dlamini and Sakani Ngobo were all instrumental in creating the shoes-blanking style of flowing, entertaining, and winning football that attracted supporters by their millions and has become synonymously with the Kaizer Chiefs brand. Now, of that formidable group of footballing pioneers, the chairman likes to remind us we as Kaizer Chiefs are standing on the shoulders of that generation. If it wasn't for the success they had in those early years, I don't know where we would be today. Now, with the team's success came affectionate nicknames, with Amakosi, which means the Kings in Zulu, and the Pefeni Glamour Boys being the most prominent. Now, the latter label was given by the supporters because Motaung always insisted that his players dress well to fit in the professional image of the club. Those hail coin years were also defined by the Afro hairstyle, which became popular with a lot of players who imitated Motaung's trending style when he returned from America to the South African Premier League. Now, the club's slogan of love and peace came about as an expression of non-aggression in response to a growing wave of violence among fans of other clubs, especially when their teams were losing. The mantra was and still remains a core element in what it means to be a Kaizer Chiefs fan, that is love and peace. Now, after wrapping up his successful career in the United States, Motaung returned home permanently in 1975 to continue playing for and running the club that he had established 5 years earlier. However, Motaung hung up his boots only a year later to concentrate fully on guiding Kaizer Chiefs on their path to becoming the dominant force in South African football that it is today. Now, Motaung's decision to focus solely on administration of the club in 1976 was swayed by the tragic death that year of Ewet the Lip Nene. That was Chiefs' popular team manager who had recruited many of the team's stars. That included names like Nelson Teenage Dladla, signed by the club from Springs. Now, Nene was attacked by hooligans who didn't want Nene to take their star player Nelson Teenage Dladla to Kaizer Chiefs, and they tragically murdered Nene. Now, South Africa's first multiracial league kicked off in 1978 with Kaizer Chiefs achieving a respectable fourth position at the end of the season. Now, as the highest placed traditionally black side behind originally white clubs Lusitano, Wits University and Acadia Shepherds. 1 year on though, Amakhosi were champions, holding off strong competitions from Highlands Park and Acadia Shepherds. Now, by that time, white players had joined the Chiefs, the first of which was Lucky Stalionau. Stalionau was a defensive midfielder. Now, others would soon follow, including goalkeeper Petebala, Jimmy Brixton Tower, Joubert, and Frank Jingles Pereira. Amakhosi were by now South Africa's most popular team. The magic of Kaizer Chiefs derives directly from projecting the proud and the dignified image that was so central to Motaung's vision. That was because it extended beyond football. The club was formed at the height of a repressive apartheid legislation in South Africa, and it always represented itself as a self-assured, modern and glamorous institution. Now, one of the highlights of the 70s was Chiefs becoming the first black side to beat a white one. It happened in the Chevrolet Championship of Champions at the Rand Stadium. Hellenic had won the first leg 4-0, but the excellent but controversial Joel Freaklinton had once boasted that a black team would never be as good as a white one. Now, Kaizer Chiefs, however, proved Franklinton wrong when they beat a white side Hellenic from Cape Town 2-1 in the second leg. Now, that was a historic moment, as it was the first time that an African side had beaten a white team in South Africa. Now, Amakhosi had grown in only 10 years' time to become the best and most supported soccer side in South Africa. Now, building on the success of the 1970s, Amakhosi added further silverware to their mounting trophy collection in the 1980s. Kaizer Chiefs were a team in transition in 1980. As a result of this, only the Sales House Champions of Champions was won after beating Pubs 3-1 over 2 legs in a final. Now, Chiefs finished in second position in the league, 5 points behind winner Highlands Park. Now, a huge tragedy struck the club on the 22nd of April 1980 with the sudden passing of Gilbert Sikabi, the quiet man of soccer. The Kaizer Chiefs director died 11 days after celebrating his 50th birthday, and his death was a further blow for Kaizer Motaung, who had lost Iwet the Lip Nene 4 years earlier. Now, it was also a year that Vusi the computer Lamola said goodbye to the club. The midfielder was one of the true greats in the history of Amakhosi, thrilling two generations of fans with his vision, dribbling skills, and excellent passing ability. It's not for nothing that one of his alternate nicknames was General, the one in charge of the midfield. Now, the following season was one of the best in the history of Kaizer Chiefs, when almost all trophies on offer were won. First of all, the league title was won in 1981, beating Highlands Park to second position by 1 point. Moreover, the Mainstay Cup, the BP Top 8, and the Sales South Champions of Champions were added to the trophy cabinet. Dynamos were also humiliated over 2 legs in the BP Top 8 final, while Orlando Pirates were beaten 3-1 in the Mainstay Cup final. Patrick Ace Ntweling, who was still shuttling backwards and forward between America and South Africa, netted 4 times against Dynamos, while other goals were scored by Ngobo, who scored twice, and emerging young winger Zebulon Mkapo. Nelson Teenage Dlala was in superb form that season and was voted as South Africa's Footballer of the Year in 1981. Now, Amakhosi missed out on the 1982 league title, finishing 3rd, but they remained the knockout kings, retaining the Mainstay Cup, the Sales House Champions of Champions, and the BP Top 8. Now, leading the team through this successful period was the right back Johannes Raida Mofokeng, who succeeded Petros Tenten Zimande as captain in 1975 and held the position until 1986, when Max Maponyane mostly wore the armband until Haywood Fraser assumed command in 1989. Now, no other Chiefs captain wore the armband more than Mofokeng, as Mofokeng was a modern wing-back in the sense that he moved up and down the flanks, providing good crosses in the box, and he was a hard tackler and a true leader, guiding his teammates and especially new players off the field as well. Now, in 1983, it was not a good year for Amakhosi, with only 1 trophy added, the Datsun Challenge. The disappointing season had much to do with the failure of the Argentine coach Orlando Ciceres to communicate his ideas to players. Kaizer Motaung admitted later that this was probably his biggest mistake in recruiting a coach. His CV looked good, the Chiefs chairman once reflected with a weary smile on his face, but he was a disaster, and it happens. However, everything changed the following season with the appointment of Joe Franklington as coach. Not every player enjoyed Franklington's tough as-nail approach and increased the running at training, but in 1984, it was a fantastic year for Amakhosi. Chiefs not only won the league title, but also the JPS knockout competition and the Champions of Champions, and also the Mainstay Cup. Now, before the season, Frank Pereira left the club after 5 outstanding seasons for the Glamour Boys as a genuine crowd favorite. Pereira joined Amakhosi in 1979 as a striker, but was quickly transformed to a defender, mostly deployed in a sweeper role. It was also the year that the young and talented midfielder Fatsichipa Mulatedi joined Chiefs for a then transfer record of 45,000 rands. Now, Franklinton's abrasive methods, however, were not conducive to lasting success, and a series of poor results in the 1985 season led to his resignation. It was a disappointing league season for the Glamour Boys, who were only able to achieve the lowest qualifying spot for the BP Top 8, but they did maintain their phenomenal record of winning trophies by winning the two-leg BP Top 8 finals against Arcadia Shepherds. But there was better news in 1986, thanks also to the arrival of Ted Mr. Magic Dumitru, who joined Amakosi in the late 1985. The Romanian football manager became a legendary coach at Chiefs and in South Africa in general. Dumitru, who passed away in 2016, was an unfussy coach who preferred to act rather than talk. He understood the culture of the local football, and the players respected him because he didn't want to change their natural style of play. Players are not robots, the coach once said. They cannot be directed how to play from the touchline. They need to have the freedom to do things their way while working within the framework of a collective team effort. That was Ted Dumitru. Under his guidance, Chiefs won the JPS Knockout, National Panasonic Champions of Champions, and the inaugural Iwiza Charity Cup. There was less success, however, in the league, and the team had to settle for a fourth spot. Absalom Skaratintra was absolutely brilliant that season, scoring numerous crucial goals, and the striker from Swaziland won the 1986 Players' Player of the Season. His compatriot William Cool Cat Shongwe, meanwhile, delivered some sterling performances in goal, especially in the JPS final. Now, the campaign were strenuous in these days, with games coming thick and fast. Howard Fraser, for example, made the most appearances that season, playing 51 times in the league and in cup matches. More success followed for the Glamour Boys in 1987 as the club won another 4 trophies, that is the BP Top 8, Iwiza Charity Cup, Osmall Challenge, and the Mainstay Cup. The league title, though, remained elusive, and amazingly, Chiefs had not been able to win the league title since the formation of the National Football League, the NSL, that is in 1985. However, it was a close call in 1987. They were beaten to the title by Jomo Cosmos by a solitary point, and to make matters worse, Chiefs lost to Durban Bushbucks on the last day of the league campaign. Meanwhile, Max Maponyane was chosen as the Footballer of the Year for an excellent season of consummate goal scoring, as the striker who joined Chiefs' first team in 1981 also became the first player to score a hat-trick in a cup final, scoring all 3 goals against Rangers to win the BP Top 8 in that season. Max Maponyane also scored 5 goals in cup finals, that is in 1987. Now, the following season was the breakthrough season of Dr. Khumalo. Voted as the 1988 John Player Smooth Series Player of the Season. He was 21 old at the time, and his potential started to blossom when Chamangwana stood in for Dumitru in the late 1987. Soon, Jeff Butler took over the coaching reins at Chiefs, helping the club to another trophy, winning the JPS knockout after beating Jomo Cosmos 3-1 in the final. That was also when former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey joined Amakosi together with Mark Tovey, who would play an important role to help the Glamour Boys win the league title the following season. Now in 1988, Chiefs again just missed out on the league trophy, this time by losing in the penultimate game against Jomo Cosmos. As a consequence, Amakosi dropped down to the 4th position on the log, 2 points behind winners Mamelodi Sundowns. The league title, however, was finally won for the first time in the NSL era in 1989 after Amakosi finished 1 point ahead of Orlando Pirates. Other trophies won were the BP Top 8, the Olsen Challenge and the Charity Spectacular, and also the JPS Knockout. It was also the season when Soccer City, these days called the FNB Stadium, was opened on the 2nd of September 1989 when Chiefs beat Morocco Salos 2-1 in the second leg of the JPS knockout. Dr. Kumalo and McGregor scored the goals. No longer playing in 1989, however, was the great Ace Ntweleng after a marvelous career at the football club. He started in 1969 with Kaizer 11. Eddie Lewis, who coached Ntweleng at Kaizer Chiefs, once said that if Ace would have been born 20 years later, he would have had the same status as Ronaldinho. Sadly, Ntweleng died too young on the 8th of May 2006. He was a coach at the Amakosi development site at the time of his death. Now, the 80s were a fantastic period for Kaizer Chiefs as they proved again that they are South Africa's kings of cup. So indeed, Kaizer Chiefs has a very rich history, and obviously the fans of Kaizer Chiefs will wish maybe the glory days come back, as Kaizer Chiefs has had years without winning the title. Now that's it from my Football Navigator. Hope you have enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching this video until the end.